Alright, welcome everyone. Here today we will be talking about a framework that we have designed in order to help the developers to understand the security concepts. So it's a practical approach towards teaching security to the developers. So before going into the program, let me show you the outline of the program. So this is the outline. So we'll be talking about the problem statement, and we will show what is the related work already happened, and we will show you the research gap, what is currently missing, and we will show an approach, new approach that we have introduced, and we'll talk about implementation details in depth, and there will be a couple of demos to show how we are doing things, and we'll talk about the roadmap and Q&As. Alright. Well, it's me, Mohan Kalebari. I'm a security analyst from a company called Flipkart. We are basically an online marketing platform for selling anything which is in India. And basically I'm a bug hunter, programmer, photographer, blah blah blah, whatnot. And you can follow me on Twitter using my handle, or there's a small website for me. If you are interested, you can go through that. And this is Anil.
So my name is Anirudh. I'm also a security analyst in Flipkart. So I'm a part-time bug hunter. I do CTFs. I actually love CTFs a lot. I am a part of Team BIOS, which is India's best CTF team according to ctftime.org. And I'm an open source enthusiast, so I contribute to several open source softwares. I have worked on a couple of projects in OAS, OWTF, Hackademic, etc. And yes, you can follow me on Twitter at Anirudh. Yeah.
Alright, thanks Andrew. So, what do we do? So, maybe most of you people might be working in a product-based environment, and as part of product security team, what we do will be, so we will be taking care of product and application security parts, or we'll be taking care of information and data security. Also, we'll be working with infra team for infra security, and apart from that, this is the main one. We take care of security awareness for the managers and the developers as well. Along with it, we will be doing a couple of automating tools and all these things. So here today, we specifically focusing on the area where security awareness is required for the developers. We'll be seeing why it will be required, and we'll be seeing how we are trying to make the developers more security friendly. So let's see what we do as part of security awareness. We take security trainings to the developers, and so we conduct secure coding sessions, and we also conduct security events, a lot of events for the developers, so that they will be more security understandable. So why exactly are we doing this? So as you can see, applications are getting very complex day by day. Earlier, the complex applications are very simple, as you can see from the screenshot. So it's a three-tier architecture. It's very easy. Like people used to use a browser or something like a client computer, then it interacts with an application server, then a database server. This used to be the architecture for earlier applications. But nowadays, when it comes to applications, there are a lot of things involved. Like there are a lot of mobile SDKs, there are a lot of API servers, and there will be data sources. More than one data source will be there sometimes, and there will be repositories, editors. All these things became the part of the whole architecture nowadays. So this is why we need the developers to be more secure understanding. And now, so earlier the security issues are kind of straightforward. When there is a bug, they usually let's talk about a simple vulnerability. People will find some website and send it to them, and based on that, people used to do that. But now it is a different story. People are kind of finding creative and complex ways to exploit bugs. You take any bug these days, it's not straightforward. Right? So that is why we need the developers to know security more. And this is the main thing. Application developers are unaware of security issues. Because of that, a lot of security issues are coming again and again, as you can know. So this is one of the screenshots we have seen in our application. When we reported a open redirect website and XSS vulnerability on a particular website. So this website deals with airline tickets and everything, where they will be taking credit card details and everything. And this is the response we have received. As you can understand, people, they can't even understand it's a security related issue. They are thinking it's some sort of client-side browser related issue, and they're responding saying that, hey, clear your cookies, cache, and try it again. This is the understanding people are having. Similarly, we have multiple other issues, and one more important thing is that there are a couple of issues reoccurring again and again. See, we know that as part of product security team, we identify some issue and we point it to our developer saying that, hey, there is a bug, please get it fixed. And they will fix it, but after a few days, the same bug will again comes back. Why exactly is it happening? That is because of this. So, can anyone tell me what is this particular screenshot of? Can anyone understand what is this? So this is a piece of code which contains JavaScript basically. In the middle of that, some HTML code is embedded. So this is particularly a case of a vulnerability called cross-site scripting, XSS simply speaking. Okay, so this was earlier identified in one of our website. So where the XSS is there and we identified, we went to the developer, we told him, hey, there is an XSS in our application, can you please fix it? The developer said, yeah, I know what is an XSS, I'll fix it. So how exactly fix it? He will say that, hey, I'll implement output encoding. Right? Output encoding is a generic, very generic fix for a cross-site scripting vulnerability. So we are happy that our developers already know about it. But after a few days, we identified that the vulnerability is not fixed, even he implemented output encoding. Why? The reason is that he implemented output encoding in generic sense, which is basically a HTML encoding in HTML context. But since the vulnerability is in JS, so this vulnerability is not yet completely fixed. So why this type of things are happening again and again? The reason is that the developers are not understanding why it is happening, why the vulnerability is happening. So this comes to an inevitable conclusion that having security team is not good enough. You need to make the developers part of the security. So you need to make the developers to write the security code as part of the development itself. That is the only way you can make these vulnerabilities not come back again and again. So how do we do that? Exactly. So as part of our security team, what we have done is we have taken security 101 trainings. These are basically the trainings where the developer are put together and we will explain all the top 10 vulnerabilities which are from OWSP. And we tell them that, hey, this is the bug, this is how this will be exploited, this is how you have to fix it. That is what we do usually. And then we have published a lot of internal write-ups, like whenever there is a new bug, we write it completely, we published a blog, we have an internal compliance, we used all that things to figure out, to make our developers understand. Also, we automated stuff so that the developers will automatically know the issues even before we point out to them. Then, so we thought that, okay, this indirect approach is not working, so let's make it hands-on so that people will know exactly how the vulnerabilities are happening. Then we conducted internal bug bashes. Then we gamified the security challenges. So we conducted CTFs internally to our developers. So does it already work? So after the trainings and all the stuff, our developers are now good enough to find bugs. At the same time, they understood how to perform chaining of attacks or complex attacks on web applications or API-based servers. Even some of them have started playing with public exploits which are available. They are downloading the exploits, they are trying to execute on different servers. This is how our developers improve themselves when it comes to security. But what we expected and what they are lacking is, they don't understand how the vulnerabilities are happening and how to write the code without vulnerabilities. That part they're missing. And sometimes they're writing the code which can fix one particular scenario, or it is missing some other. This is how developer trainings are incomplete. So when we observe it again, so what we thought was security 101 trainings are mostly theoretical, which is obviously boring. Then internal write-ups and everything, too much to read, and nowadays no one is ready to read. And when it comes to hands-on, internal bug patches mostly for low level bugs to identify. And when it comes to CTFs, only offensive. People are saying it only in an offensive way. There is no defense mentioned in the CTFs, right? So we clearly see that something is missing in this particular area. So we want our developers to understand how the bug is working, and how we want them to fix that even before they come to us. So after this, what we did, how we focused, Anil will take up and he will continue with that.
So one problem that we had in hand is no matter what we did, the basic objective we had is to give developers, okay, this is how you write a code and this is how you fix something. So that was always missing in whatever things that we did. So we wanted some different solutions to work with the devs, and then we looked into currently available open source options. Now OFFZONE is actually one of the best places to start, because OFFZONE is Open Web Application Security Project, which has like tons of tools and then documentations and all that, which is published online for free, and anyone can go read it, understand it, use their tools in either in industry or you can use it for commercial purposes, whatever. So now it was an excellent community. It had a lot of articles, methodologies, documentation, and it even had a project called Testing Guide Project, which I myself find it as the most interesting one. Now, one of the problems there also what we face is it's actually a Bible for pen testers, web pen testers. So it will tell you all the things. So when you are testing for an XSS, what all things you should test, how many contexts are there in XSS. So let's say if there is HTML context, how do you test it? If there is a JS context, how do you test it? If there is a URL context, how do you test it? So all these things are mentioned properly. But one thing I felt is lacking is how do you fix all these things, right? So there are generic option which is given in the documentation, but which was not actually good enough. And next thing we had was Mozilla. So Mozilla also had a secure coding guidelines, which is online. Now which is a bit different from the OWASP. So how this works, it's more of a guideline perspective where they'll tell you if your application has a password reset functionality, these are the things that you should be taking care of while implementing that. And the same thing. So now if you have password complexity, then they'll tell you this is the complexity that you should follow. It should have uppercase letters, lowercase letters, and all that. Now, so one thing that we concluded out of that is, So one thing we concluded that is both OFFZONE and Mozilla actually does an excellent job in documenting all these things. But the problem is, how many people actually go ahead and read documentation, right? So I actually do, or maybe security engineers do, because that's how we get the knowledge from. But from a dev's perspective or a developer, why should he start reading about SQL injections and then how do you prevent it and all that? That's not actually going to happen. Now, next thing, and even if let's say a couple of people actually went and read it, now even if we tell them that this is how you solve it, now how many actually will implement the same thing when they are building a software? So we find both of these things was missing, and most of the people are never following any of these things, because even internally we had a Confluence, Atlassian Confluence page where we explain all these things in detail, but then nobody cared to read, right? So what we needed was a hands-on solution, right? So somewhere if he can actually, or the